Can't. Last week it was crap. Hello.
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 Hello. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. Are you winding me up?
A little bit, yeah.
Welcome back.
Oh dear me. Yeah. Good evening. Welcome to Vape Talk York.
Vape York
Talk.
UK.
Vape York UK. Episode 143. 143 episodes. Oh, we need lives, man. Perception.
You get less for answers, yeah.
You know what? I said that to my missus the other day. She says, "You know, we've been together 15 years. You know, cameras and time."
Camera's not on. You might have to refresh, mate.
Is it? I can't work out if he's winding me up or not.
Probably no, that knob. Is it a risk of a take though, doing half a show with only me on camera?
What, me refreshing out, not being able to get in?
Yeah, it's like Russian roulette.
No one else has said anything. I guess he's winding us up. Anyway, perception. Yeah, no, Lindsay was saying the other night. You didn't realise we've been together 15 years. 15 years. You get less for manslaughter. I could have killed her the day I found her. Not that she was a hooker or anything.
Down the alleyway. Business. Yeah, it's madness, isn't it? But, yeah. Episode 143.
What, you must have done at least 8 of those.
At least 8 episodes.
At least.
I've done way more than fucking 80, you knob. I thought you were taking a piss.
I mean, I don't know. You seem to have many weeks off and sort of time off in lieu and all that shit.
Yeah, I'm salary paid, don't I? So I don't get paid anymore for any extra hours I put in. Unvapeable.
Oh, okay. What? Hang on, you get paid?
I don't get to see my share at £7 a month we make.
I wish. As you may notice, we are running a little bit short. Chandler is joining.
Nothing about you is short, Mark.
Yeah, nothing at all. Chandler is joining us shortly. As some of you may know, it's his birthday today, and he decided he was going to nip in and see a whore on the way home. So he's just been serviced, and he'll be with us shortly.
If every single one of you could just message him saying happy birthday, probably 12 to 16 times, that'd be great.
Perfect.
We've got an interesting show tonight. We've actually got some real content. But real content, yes. Real content.
Real content. You say the word real content and we lose viewers. That's exactly what happens.
I know. That's
why people just come for the shits, giggles, the insults, the amateurness of us.
But yeah, it should be a very good show. We've actually got a best-selling author joining us tonight.
He doesn't know it yet, but
he doesn't know it. He knows he's joining us, but he doesn't know what for. I haven't even told him the channel name, so obviously he doesn't know it's anything to do with vaping. He has no idea what he's talking about. I've asked him for his opinion. I've asked him for a couple of reasons, but I'll explain them when he gets on. But it should be funny. He's a cool guy, and yeah, he's got absolutely no idea what he's coming on for. I'll explain him when he gets on. He knows that we want his opinion. Why are you playing the show, Mark?
It was me. I fucked up.
The first time we're on a level of professionalism, and you start fucking playing the show back over me. Yeah, he's got absolutely no idea why he's coming on. We also have another well-known industry favourite, but we'll get to him.
We'll get to those shortly. I had a bit of an accident last night. I was given a set of coils from a member of my staff today. He's been.
You had an accident last night, and you were given coils from your staff today. Did you go back in time this afternoon?
No, because he gave me the coils today, and I came home to put them in what I was going to put it in, and found it in a molten mess.
You molten Mowbray. No, you need to rejog that. That chronological order of that story does not make any sense.
Either way, so last night I get these urges. You know, most of you know I'm out along most of the time. I need juice. I'm out along most of the time, 12 milligram mint. But every now and again, and it's become more and more recent, I'm craving dense vape. Not necessarily the nicotine, but a good, dense, thick, cloudy vape. And it just wasn't cutting it. So nipped into work today, and he's done these four core alien, something like that. So he gave me a pair, gave me a set, brought them home, came up to my office, and the SOI I was playing on last night, I foolishly left on the side. I'm looking for it. Left on the side, and I came home to it tonight.
Resembling a melted candle.
Looking like that. An absolute.
You pulled that coil out, right? It wasn't.
No, it was attached. It was actually attached to the top of the.
Oh, really? So when you pulled that off, the coil with it.
The coil came with it. No, I've not done that for effect. It genuinely came out like that. So, yeah, a little bit disappointed. So, I dug out a goon, and I was running it on an old school TVL. I thought I'd go for something a little bit different. But for one reason or another, I ended up jumping on the Minikin because I love that screen. Running it on a goon.
Nice.
A nice warm boat. Nice warm, dense. I must have got through about 15 bottles of this stuff.
So would I have if someone sent me it.
I'll get round to it. I will.
I just noticed it said 100 milliliters. I thought it said 100 milligram. I'm like, fuck me, you're keen.
Chris, give me some of that.
Oh, yeah.
What are you vaping on?
Nothing changes even in 2 weeks. Billy box, 45 milligram, Nixel. That's it. It doesn't change.
You haven't shown me anything different.
Yeah, all the time. I have a dripper set up in the kitchen where I put on the minute I'm going through Khalees oil.
Wow.
So I have that on the side next to it and have a go and then leave it for a couple of hours and then have a go. But I don't crave anything enough to carry it around with me.
I'm the same. I enjoy it. I don't at work. I've literally on my desk got the Nautilus 2. It sits in front of me all day. Get a craving, have a 2. Simple as that. I don't go out. Well, I don't need to go outside, but you know what I mean. But yeah, no, I never get that dense craving when I'm at work. It's only when I'm at home at night, and it's usually when I've got a beer in my hand. Funnily enough.
Yeah, what are you drinking tonight? I'm on a pillow fight, a marshmallow chocolate porter.
I'm on Das Model.
Nice. I've also got a Endless River Session IPA, and then I've got a bottle of tonic water that's got about half a litre of gin poured into it.
So I'm a little bit devastated. I finished my last bottle of Fever Tree last night, and
I killed it last night.
That's really bright, isn't it? On reflection.
Yeah, my screen too bright. I can turn mine down, I think. Somehow.
Yeah, so
brightness down. I don't have an official Mac keyboard.
When I get to the point that I've run out of beer, I'll be drinking neat gin. So should be an entertaining.
F1. Oh no, that's muted me. How am I turning the brightness down?
So
correspond.
Done with your hand checks?
Yeah, done.
You had a good week?
Yeah, it's been all right. I've been a bit sick. Got a sore throat, got a headache, got chest pains. But
Are you on your myriad?
here's what it is. Yeah, I mean, I've got man flu a little bit, but
So
yeah.
when we came together during the week to sort of discuss what we were going to talk about tonight. And one of the key things, those of you that are in the Vape Talk UK group, will see I popped a link up just before the show, and the link is to a video called The Movement. Now, The Movement it's a bit like Dragon's Den, is it fair to say?
Yeah, it's essentially a bunch of entrepreneurs from all over the world competing for both guidance and possibly financial funding from various CEOs of various companies from all over the world. I think that sort of sums it up.
Yeah, so you've got different people from all over the world. You've got different investors from all over the world, and their first pick, they get to choose someone from their own territory.
Yeah, so you've got the Asia Pacific region, you've got Europe, and you've got the Americas. There's three different continents or whatever that those candidates can be from, and of those three continents, there's varied numbers depending on how many got chosen. And one of the contestants was our good friend Maxime Dubé from Death Wish Fake Oil, Hope, can't remember what else he makes, other juice, Y Doctor,
Ephemeral.
Ephemeral.
Raz.
Yeah, he was competing against what I can only describe as a fucking pit of lions. Do you know what I mean? They were a bit mental. I think we should save some of the examples of what they said for when we get Rick in about 5 minutes. But yeah, so did any of you guys in the chat, did any of you watch it? Did any of you get a chance to? It was very strange. There was some woman in there that was talking about it was like an online database of professional women that wanted to get back into the workplace after having a kid. There was another guy that was doing like a market consultancy thing where it would give you like a breakdown of all of your facts and figures about your business. I can't think. What were the others, Mark?
They were the ones that got through. I'm not going to spoil. I'm not going to spoil it by saying too much. They were the only ones that really sort of jumped out at me. If any of you guys get an hour and a half, it doesn't require that much attention. I kind of did it whilst I was working last night. The movement was very good watch. However, I think some of the people who asked massive questions were so ignorant towards vaping. Jono, hold that thought. That is focused behind tonight's show.
So talking of ignorance towards vaping, should we get Rick in here and see how much he knows?
Sure,
we don't know whether he smokes. We don't know whether he has a stance on smoking, whether he's been affected by smoking, whether he vapes. For all we know, he could have a company that sells vape products. We do not know. And he doesn't know that he's talking about vaping. I sent him the link. Yeah, so it should be interesting.
Yeah. No, guys, if you do get an hour and a half, you do get opportunity to sit down and watch it. I've put the link in the Vape Talk UK group. It's a good watch. It's an interesting watch. I'll be honest with you. When I first sat down, I was messaging you, Chris, saying it's pissing me off. And Chris is like, bear with it. I'm glad I did. But it still irritated the fuck out of me, to be honest. But we'll come to that shortly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very hard thing to get across because obviously the guys that are all watching tonight have invested interest in e-cigarettes. Everyone watching the show will vape or be involved in vaping in some way. And here he is. Hello, Rick.
Hey.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Just making sure I wasn't muted there.
Rick, this is Mark. This is one of my co-hosts, and I'm Chris. We've not actually spoken in person before.
How's it going?
Yeah,
Very
not
well,
bad.
very well.
So tonight's topic is vaping, electronic cigarettes. Do you have any knowledge of this?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've never been a smoker myself, but I have plenty of friends who do, and I think probably most of them have actually switched over to vaping from actually cigarettes. So.
But you've never smoked and you don't vape.
No.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Exactly what we were hoping for. So basically, the reason I asked you on was to get a completely unbiased opinion. Now, that's part of the reason why I didn't tell you what subject we were covering as well, because we find that a lot of people, especially people we know that we invite onto the show, they tend to tailor make their responses to sometimes to what I feel that we want them to say. Does that make sense? So I invited you on here for two reasons. One of the reasons is, now you're an author of The Tome of Bill.
Yep.
Incredible book.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And yeah, I mean, I'm a real fan of it. But there's something I wanted to actually say to you. When I first discovered the book, I was put off by it by the fact it was about vampires. Now, I had this jaded opinion that it was going to be something like Twilight. Have you found... I mean, I genuinely regret having that thought, and I'm really, really glad that I did listen to it. The same reason, like, Drew Hayes is a friend of yours, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's a series called Fred the Vampire Accountant, is right? Well, right?
Yep.
Now, I love all of the books he does. Everything that he's done that I've read is amazing. But I've never tried Fred because of the subject matter.
I've actually read the first Fred book, and it's a lot of fun. It kind of does the same thing I did, which was like, I mean, I grew up on like the Hammer vampire film, so like, you know, and like, you know, and then like, you know, and then Buffy and stuff in the 90s. And yeah, I mean, once you hit Interview with the Vampire and then you hit Twilight, things were kind of like vamped out. It was like, okay, there's too much and people are taking them in stupid directions, or what I would call stupid directions. So I mean, I think there's kind of like a subset of kind of like almost kind of an anti-response that of like, you know, let's take them in like, you know, even more ridiculous, like, you know, things that are almost kind of like, you know, pretty much a mockery of some of like the stuff that you see going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is kind of what we face in the electronic cigarette industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people, they see electronic cigarettes and they automatically associate it with cancer. They automatically associate it with smoking. Now, the main discussion that we're having tonight about a documentary called The Movement that a friend of ours in the industry was in. And it's essentially like, I think in the States you call it Shark Tank.
Okay. Yep.
Over here we call it Dragon's Den. It's exactly the same concept. Well, this is like a mix of that and some sort of Apprentice. You know The Apprentice?
Yep.
Familiar with? And essentially it had
an awful show.
Yeah, fucking terrible. So essentially, a bunch of entrepreneurs from all over the world, from all different fields, had to pitch their ideas to like 45 CEOs from all over the world. And essentially they're looking for support with their business and potentially financial support as well. It doesn't really go too much into what they get out of it. Well, if it did, I turned it off before then. But so when our friend Max, he does his pitch, and he explains it's about electronic cigarettes. Some of the things that are said by these CEOs of companies that obviously have no invested interest in the subject, they don't know any of the research, any of the facts behind the research. I think one of the quotes was, what was it, Mark?
I've got 3 quotes that I actually wrote down here. Some of the ones that actually boiled my piss. So the first comment: I love Breaking Bad, but I don't feel comfortable invested in a meth lab. The second one, you quit smoking. but you vape. So you're still smoking. You haven't stopped smoking. And the third one, which irritated the hell out of me, why don't you simply stop smoking, grow up, and leave out of this world a pointless and leave out of this world a pointless and regulated poison? Now, this has obviously come from misinformed, or, you know, people that aren't necessarily misinformed, but that's the opinion that they've got. Those comments came from all over the world. They weren't. There was one guy from the UK, one guy from America, and I don't recall where the other guy came from. So these comments came from all over the world. But again, misinformed, a lot like the vampire thing. You know, the same with me. Vampires were from the 80s. You know, they were proper vampire films. They weren't chicks and yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of asinine. I mean, I grew up with my parents were both smokers, so if, like, you know, for growing up the first 18 years of my life, it didn't bother me. But then, like, you know, when I moved out, like afterwards, then it, like, you know, going back to like a house with smoke in it, you can easily tell. But I mean, here's the thing: you can be around somebody who's vaping for about 2 minutes and see that there's a big difference. You know. I mean, I liken it to, I used to do a lot of community theater back in college, and we used to use a lot of fog machines and stuff. And vaping reminds me far more of, like, you know, of standing in the middle of, like, you know, a fog machine going off, and, like, you know, I don't want to say it reminds me of a haunted house, but it reminds me of, like, you know, using one far more, which, and I'll be honest, fog machine vapor doesn't bother me at all. It reminds me far more of that. And the second thing I would say is, I mean, that the people who owned my house before us were smokers. And in fact, just a couple of weeks ago, we noticed that, like, there got some moisture got in the walls, and suddenly nicotine stains started appearing out of nowhere. And it was like, oh, this is gross. Versus, you're not going to get that with somebody vaping. In fact, and let me tell you, my wife is super strict. I mean, one of my friends in my D&D group, he comes over, and it's like, if he lights up, he has to step outside. But he recently started vaping, and my wife is like, that is perfectly cool. I got no problem with you doing that in the house. You know, and let me tell you, she's asthmatic. So if somebody's going to have a problem with that, she's going to have a problem with it. And, you know, that right there, you know, just outside of my own personal experiences, it's just vastly different. You know, just from a secondhand, quote unquote, smoke standpoint.
So, your opinion of vaping is based on what? Like, what made your wife feel that vaping was safe to have in the house? What, you know, is there a positive image behind electronic cigarettes where you are?
I don't think it's positive or negative. I mean, I know a lot of people are doing it, and here I think it's mostly positive, because people kind of see it as kind of a step away from, like, you know, from cigarettes. You know, and a lot of people are, like, you know, moving to vaping who want to quit smoking, but, like, you know, maybe can't do it cold turkey. But I mean, I think that's probably, like, you know, part of it is, like, you know, it's kind of that waypoint of, like, okay, moving away from, like, you know, one habit that, like, you know, let's be honest, it's not a great habit, to one that's, like, you know, pretty benign. And I mean, I'm not really sure what, like, the rules are here. I mean, I know you can't smoke in most bars and stuff. I'm not really sure what the rules are on vaping, because I'm pretty much an introvert, like, shut in, who never goes out. You know? But bottom line is, like, you know, there's a vast difference for me if I'm sitting next to somebody and they, like, you know, and they like, you know, they light up a pack of Marlboros or so, versus they pull out a vape pen. You know, it's a world of difference.
See, in the electronic cigarettes, there are three main ingredients in the e-liquid which produces the vapor.
Mm-hmm.
One is vegetable glycerin.
Yep.
One is monopropylene glycol, and one is liquid nicotine suspended in either of the two, plus flavorings. Now, actually, the chemical makeup of electronic cigarette liquid and the chemical makeup of the liquid put into fog machines, like you mentioned, are actually very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
There's less regulation on the scent chemicals that need to be put into fog machines, There's less regulation on the purity of the monopropylene glycol, etc., that needs to go in it. But one of the main standpoints that people who are misinformed or do not understand so much is that there's no long-term tests to check the outcome of using electronic cigarettes. And one of the points made by the University of Cambridge was that actually there's people that are exposed to fog machines with a very, very similar chemical makeup every night for 50, 60 years on Broadway or in a theater, or, you know, there's also a massive amount of propaganda that's out there, because big tobacco companies like Philip Morris International, etc., they lose a hell of a lot of revenue to anyone that decides to give up smoking. If you're spending, I mean, how much is a pack of 20 cigarettes in the States?
Oh God. I remember I worked in a liquor store when I was in college, and I remember there was a huge like blow up when the taxes finally first started hitting, and I remember the big cigarette brand was called Bucks because it was like the only thing you could still get for like a pack for $1, and that did not last long. I mean, these days, God, I know my mother still, or I think she's trying to stop. She's still smoking. I know it's just a ridiculous drain. Just how much you just pay for, like, you know, for the damn things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, if you're paying say on average $15 a day, or even $10 a day, that's $70 a week. You know, that's $3,600 a year. Yeah. So if you quit, and you quit for life, you're costing the government tens of thousands of dollars a day per person. So, you know, if you have to spend £2 million on marketing to make it look like e-cigarettes are killing your neighbor's cat, then you will. And the problem that we face, and especially that which has been brought to light by this documentary that we've seen, is that actually there's quite a lot of people that are led to believe that vaping is dangerous because of the media, because of what they see online, because of what because of what you know, people make up their own perceptions based on what they see. And this is kind of what happened with me in the Tome of Bill, because actually it's probably one of the most enjoyable books. I mean, I don't read, I don't do reading, but audiobook. I'd listen to audiobooks. And is it John Featheroff that you've got?
Chris Featheroff.
Chris Featheroff, sorry. His narration style is just captivating, and the book itself is actually, it kind of takes away every bad stigma that I had behind any vampire film made post 1990-ish. You know, I think after Lost Boys, and you know, I think they all seriously went downhill. I mean, Blade was all right, you know, but I had, you know, Twilight was definitely the death of, ironically, the death of vampires for me. But reading your book really changed my perception. And it was, you know, so this is why I was really interested to find out what a stranger's perception of an industry that they're not involved in is.
Well, that's why I said, I mean, you know, outside of, like, you know, the misinformation or whatever you hear, once again, just sit yourself down next to two people. Sit yourself down to somebody who's chain smoking. Sit yourself down to somebody who's next to somebody who's vaping. And it is, we're talking like night and day and stuff. And I mean, yeah, I mean, let's be honest. There's always going to be misinformation out there. I know we've had a big running argument in my house over, like, you know, over high fructose corn syrup versus like cane sugar, neither of which is particularly healthy for you, you know.
Yeah.
In our thing, and it's all because, like, you know, because, like, you know, there's agendas, there's lobbying going on, and anytime that there is big money to be made, and, like, you know, and somebody's out to lose that big money, well, you're just going to see the misinformation fly left and right, and you know, and it's hard. I mean, I'd like to say I'm an enlightened individual and I don't listen to that crap, you know. But let's face it, we all get caught up on it because, like, you know, you hear it enough times, your brain melts, and suddenly it's like, oh no, doorknobs cause cancer, you know.
Yeah, they're kicking their doors open. Yeah, it's an uphill battle, I think, and the industry as a whole is actually a bit of a struggle, because you find that a lot of people are out there to that you release a product and someone else will release a very similar product and tell everyone and their dog that actually your product is inferior, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. And that's another it's a quality that I really liked about your group on Facebook, and the reason I felt like I fit in so well, because actually everyone is there to help everyone else out, and it's a sense of community that actually vaping had about 3 years ago. And it slowly died off, being overrun by people who are looking for sponsorship. Now, this is a thing. Like, unless you're involved in electronic cigarettes, it sounds weird, but people sponsor and get sponsored by companies to blow big clouds at events and look good, right? That's a genuine thing in the industry. And
where can I get that gig?
And the problem that we have is that a lot of people are just in it for free shit. They join these groups and they post pictures of products, hoping that the person who makes that product will give them free stuff. And all of the sense of community that are involved in those groups is gone. And I know that in your group, you promote other people's literature, right? You do is it Bookie Bookface? Bookie Bookface post where people can comment and talk about other people's literature in your group, and you know, it's a real. It reminds me of what vaping was 3 years ago, and it's really refreshing to see.
Well, I mean, fortunately, I mean, in my case, I really haven't like seen any of that. I mean, as I said, I have plenty of friends who vape, and it's all like a positive thing, because these are people like, you know, they're lifelong smokers or stuff, and they're trying to move away from that, you know, because they're growing up, they're having kids, they realize that, like, you know, one, you know, the places where you can smoke, especially if you're not at home, are shrinking exponentially, and two, you know, at this point, I mean, is there anybody who, like, you know, who's still living in the 1950s and watching watching a commercial thinking, like, you know, it's like, oh well, ooh, it's satisfying, and, like, you know, and it improves my life and gives me no. I mean, almost everybody I know realizes it's a habit, it's an addiction, it's not particularly healthy, and I mean, when I see a friend, like, you know, one of my friends, like, you know, show up and be like, hey, you know, I'm doing my best, I've like switched from, like, you know, from 3 packs a day, I'm like, you know, I got a vape pen or so, that's something to cheer for them. That's like an awesome thing, because, like, you know, they're basically, I think, making a massively positive step, you know.
I mean, Public Health England here in the UK did various tests, and one of the tests come back that vaping is at least 95% safer than smoking. That's a fact. That's based on analytical tests that they performed to compare the output of both cigarettes and electronic cigarettes.
Well, the very fact is, I mean, you were mentioning the ingredients before. The fact that one of the ingredients is not tar probably should make that self-evident.
Yeah, one of them cannot be used to kill rats. You know, the carcinogens in a cigarette being removed, even if it had the tar in it. You know, if you had the same experience from smoking a cigarette with every carcinogen apart from tar removed, and you had a normal cigarette, even that cigarette is better than original cigarettes. Even if it still has tar in it, it's still better. And there's a ingredient called diacetyl, which is used to butter popcorn, and people in the 60s and 70s were getting a thing called popcorn lung, which was caused by them breathing in the fumes of this ingredient that was added into the butter to butter the popcorn. And one of the big issues we face with a lot of misinformed people is that, oh, it gives you popcorn lung, it gives you this disease, and it's actually a very strange, piece for people to sort of grasp onto. They're clutching at straws for an argument as to why vaping's bad, and it's this one thing that people seem to grasp.
It's like the ridiculousness of, like, you know, the whole you know, vaccines cause autism you know, group. It's like you had a couple people there, you know, showing, like, you know, crap evidence, but nobody wants to do the research. They're like, oh, somebody I admire says this, so it must be true. You know, and I mean, I it's not much different. And like, you know, sometimes it's one of those things where, like, you know, where you wind up in a hole and the only thing you can do is crawl out of it, like, you know, by educating one person at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's hard to take a step in the right direction when you're fighting against so many opposing views by people that have a lot more money, a lot more influence than you do. Have you found that any of your friends that have given up smoking and started vaping, have they reported anything, like in conversation? Have they said, you know, I'm feeling actually a lot better, or I'm feeling positive effects of this vaping malarkey?
I mean, I can't give comprehensives, but I can't think of anybody who's been unhappy switching to that, outside of maybe, like, you know, one friend who got, like, you know, who got like a bum pen which like broke after a week or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as I can tell, it's been pretty positive. I mean, you know, ignoring the fact that, like, you know, they realize it's more pleasant around other people, but they also realize it's more pleasant for them, because I mean, you know, just the variety of flavors and stuff that are available just like gives you just like a whole ton of like options, and like, you know, and stuff. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head who's like, I guess, regressed, if you will, who's like looked at it and said, no, this isn't for me, I'm going back to what I was doing.
I mean, the thing is as well, when you're given options, it really helps. And I mean, I personally, I design cigarette products, the products that give off the vapor. Mm-hmm. I design those products. And Mark,
oh, that's super cool.
It was a bit of a strange thing. I mean, my day job, I actually manage a care home for adults with learning disabilities. That's my job. And I got into vaping because my wife to be was pregnant, and I didn't want to be, you know, breathing dirty cigarette smoke all over her. And I did a hell of a lot of research, but you find a lot of people don't do the research that I've done. They don't get as involved as I do. And actually, 98% of the consumer base of electronic cigarettes are mums and dads who don't sit on Facebook groups talking shit all day like I do. They'll just go into a shop, say, I want to give up smoking, what have you got? And some shops, profit margin focused shops, tend to sell them anything that they make the most money on. And then they don't actually get the experience that they need to give up smoking. So they try vaping, they're like, oh, fuck this, it doesn't work for me. And they'll go back to smoking. So for us, we're Mark's, like, in his shop, he's very driven with fully informing the customers of what they're getting themselves into, what they're buying, what they're putting into their body. And I know that one thing that Mark always said was that he wouldn't sell a product unless he knew how to use it efficiently. I mean, Mark, what's your stance on all this?
Everyone knows my opinion on it. I'm quite open on it. It's just interesting to hear what other people who have neither smoked nor vaped, their opinion on it. And, you know, obviously we look at some people and it is extremely negative. But then we have other guys that clearly see sense. One of our viewers said earlier, this guy is far more clued up and genuinely knowledgeable than the fuck sticks we usually encounter. You know what I mean? So to hear from someone that has never smoked nor vaped, see it as a positive, to see it as, you know what, it's keeping off the cigarettes, it's saving lives, it can only be a positive thing. It can only be a positive thing. I was half expecting you to be either one way or another, either extremely negative. Now the other guy that I got lined up for tonight unfortunately couldn't make it. He unfortunately is related to me, and he, as Simon quite beautifully put it, a fuck stick, and he's very, very, very anti-vaping. Very much driven by media, very much driven by what he sees on Facebook. You know, he sees everyone as a beard-wearing snapback wanker. You know what I mean? He despises everything about vaping. and I'm absolutely gutted he couldn't make it on tonight, because it would have made awesome viewing or awesome rage quitting from me either way. But no,
sorry, go on.
Sorry, Chris.
I was just going to say, the industry in itself, even if it was only 10% better than smoking, the industry itself has created so many opportunities for so many different people to be involved. Now, I wouldn't have designed my product to have my company if it didn't exist. Mark would still be selling sex toys. You know, that was genuinely his business before electronic cigarettes. But also I had a lot of things 3D printed for electronic cigarettes, things that I've been testing out, prototypes, products. I'm actually, the guys at this 3D printing company, they had the printer they own cost $400,000. Now, they invested it in this, and actually they found that all they were making for people were prototype parts, prototype models of things that they were going to recreate in steel, etc., etc. And they said that actually when people from the electronic cigarette industry started approaching them, their sales have quadrupled. They're making hundreds of thousands of dollars off of electronic cigarette products, which 3D printing wasn't designed to be incorporated into. We've adapted.
Let me ask a question along those lines. Has anybody done, because if they haven't, I'm just going to tell you right now, shame on every geek who vapes, but has anybody come up with a vape pen that's just in the shape of a lightsaber?
Absolutely.
Okay. My faith in the world is reaffirmed.
Absolutely, they have. Yeah, I mean, this mad, the weird and wonderful things you can find. I mean, I have a Pokeball one. Do I have it at hand? I hope I do. Yes, I do. Look, check this out. But, oh, my desk needs to do. So, this is an electronic cigarette.
That is
very
cool.
Put some batteries in, you screw the atomizer on, and that's your firing button. The whole. Once you're involved in the industry, there's a whole other world to it. And actually, Rick does a podcast called Authors and Dragons, where a bunch of crazy authors play Pathfinder, for anyone who doesn't know what that is. And actually, I've actually played Dungeons and Dragons since listening to that. I've never had an interest in it before. And since listening to it, and specifically your character that you play, I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. And it is actually really, really fun. But one of your other co-hosts, Steve Wetherill, is that his name? Steve Wetherill?
Yep, Steve. Mm-hmm.
I bumped into him on a couple of posts that I'd put up in your group. And I clicked it and I was like, it's the monk. And he actually works for a company. Now, I won't discuss it. Obviously, he's not here. But he works for an electronic components company. And actually, a lot of the components that I've bought to make electronic cigarette devices, I've bought from his company, the company that he works for. And I did actually message him earlier, but he hasn't read it yet. I want to ask if he had any idea of what people use some of the products he makes for. Because it's mad how an industry, like I met Mark through electronic cigarettes, and we're actually very, very close friends. He's coming up to my wedding. I live in the north of Scotland. He lives down in England. It's a fair distance to travel, but we meet up maybe 3-4 times a year. And it's all down to this industry. So we're really passionate about it. Mark's sole income is from it, Mm-hmm. So it's hard for us to sound objective when people know that we've got invested interest in what we're talking about.
Yep.
The same way, like I was talking about earlier, you promote other people's literature. I find that anyone that doesn't do that isn't able to appreciate a good piece of art when it's created, is lying. Anyone that says every other book is every other product or every other book or every other drink or whatever, any company that says if it's not our product, it's not good, is lying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've had a few rappers in the past who, like, when you give them the question to whose music do you listen to, I only listen to my own music, and it's like, what kind of shit are you full of,
Absolutely. So this is again another reason why we wanted someone who was so impartial. I mean, we actually went through both of our friends lists, and to find someone that didn't know anything about the industry or didn't know about our involvement in the industry was impossible. Like, we couldn't find anyone. And I said, actually, I'm gonna ask someone who I think, for one, would be very entertaining, which you have, which I really appreciate. Two, wouldn't crumble under pressure, which you haven't, which is great. And three,
you see some of the things that they do to me in that group, I was, when you were saying, "Oh, this is a controversial topic," I thought I was going to be, get on here and be like, so pedophilia, for or against? Like,
That's Christy's other channel.
Yeah, I've got a Discord. I'll send you a link. But no, it's the thing is, people are so strongly opposed to it because of misinformation. It's hard to gauge without telling you what the subject matter was, what your opinion would be.
The funny thing is, I really haven't been exposed to any of the negativity. I mean, it might just be because I'm not in those circles or so. But I mean, everything I've seen in, like, in my little corner of the universe here in New Jersey has been pretty positive about it. I mean, I can honestly say that, and once again, it might just be because these are not articles I'm reading online. These are not like groups I'm in. My exposure primarily is, like, friends who are trying to quit smoking, and and once again, combined with my experience just like using fog machines and such, I've just viewed as nothing but a positive.
Absolutely. Do you think your mother will ever give up smoking?
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. I don't really see her move. She's one of those people that, like, you hand her an iPad, which is pretty much the easiest thing. You can hand that to a toddler and they can figure out how to use it, and she'll stare at it with a blank stare. So I don't see her moving to anything with the words electronic in it. So right there, I think that takes her out of the market. She's one of those people that, like, like any technology after the 60s, so that's when human, like, progress stopped. Anything after that is witchcraft. So
so when you tell her in 3 years' time, the Tome of Bill's being made into a movie, and she'll say, "Is it on VHS yet?"
She might ask for a Betamax copy.
It sounds like Chandler.
Oh God, our other co-host who's running late. He reckons it's because it's his birthday. That's his excuse. But yeah, he's like living in the 60s, especially with all the vaping technology that's progressed so far. And he's still using things that we got past 2 years ago. Like, he's like, "Have you tried this?" And we're like, "Yeah, in 2012." But no, I really, really appreciate you coming on.
Glad to be here, and and glad I could offer kind of like a positive spin on it. Like I said, it might just be a regional thing, but I really haven't noticed too much negative, at least in around here. I mean, somebody who walks into my house with, like, versus lighting up a couple butts versus pulling out a vape pen, they're going to get a completely different reception. And once again, it's not just me. Like, my wife, she is the type, if something bothers her, like, her lungs, she is not going to be shy about it. So that right there should say a lot.
Next time you have friends over and one of them tries to light up, can you try and capture a video of your wife punching them in the throat?
Well, they just don't, because they all know at this point.
But yeah, so for anyone who's interested, the Tome of Bill, it's available on Amazon. It's available on right. Can you pronounce your surname for me before I do?
Sure. It's Rick Gualtieri.
Gualtieri. Is that close enough?
Yeah, close enough for the accounting.
We'll post links in the YouTube chat. You can't actually see the YouTube chat, but we'll post links to it in there. It's been great. I'm really glad that you fall in the category right down the middle, where you don't smoke, you've never smoked, you don't vape, you've never vaped, and your opinion is positive. That's a real reassurance for myself that actually Big Tobacco has not farmed the brains of every other person on the planet. But yeah, no, I really, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much for your time.
No, you're more than welcome. And yeah, and shoot me the link to the YouTube channel, because if anybody is there calling me a fuckstick, I'd like to say.
No, not you. They were calling others fuck sticks.
Well, I'm sure there's somebody who's gonna tell me I'm one. You know, it happens.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and
right.
Yeah,
awesome. All right, I'm gonna punch out. It was awesome talking to you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers, buddy.
Later.
Happy birthday, Chandler.
Hey, mate.
Hello. Yeah, thank you.
How was she?
Let me just hang on. Let me just turn off me internet. I'm trying to. There you go. Wait, that's back. Oh,
How was she?
How's who?
How was she? Was she good?
Awesome.
Did she steal your bow tie? Did she steal your bow tie?
Did you? Yeah, I'm in my Matt Smith get up. You know, what do you think, Doctor Who? All I need is a bow tie. I think a bow tie for work is probably pushing it.
It is.
To be honest, yeah, you work in telesales. There's no face-to-face interaction. You're dressing up for yourself.
I know. We have to wear office attire. So technically, in my contract, I believe it says shirt and tie.
Can I just ask, what office?
So I'm actually,
what office? Because that office, you look like you've come from a Western saloon. That's where you come from.
a Western saloon. Yeah. And I am currently. Look at this. Look, I've got alcohol because it's my birthday. Look at this.
Fucking hell! Someone check his temperature.
Yeah, I'm on cider. Lovely.
What are you vaping on, Chan?
Exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, do you know? I haven't actually. I was going to change it because I don't take it out with me. I've currently got my mouth to lung Nautilus Mini on. It's on my X Cube Mini because that's what I take it out on.
Where did you steal the hygiene tip from?
Where did I steal the drip tip from?
No, it's a hygiene tip. Yeah.
No, that's not a hygiene tip. That. Look at that. Look, is that focusing?
Unfortunately, so.
Unfortunately, so. That is a Gary Dibley drip tip.
That looks like a fake nail my missus wore before the baby came.
It's awesome. It is way too big for that, to be fair. It overhangs. It overhangs very, very slightly.
It'd be awesome on something that was in proportion.
But when it's hiding on the Communivapor, it kind of makes sense.
Bloody hell! What is this world coming to? I'm still here, by the way. I'm just sorting out. I'm taking a layer off, and no one wants to see these titties.
Oh, come on! Sheer entertainment value. You should have left the video on for that.
Chris is sweating in his shed.
I mean,
the last time I did that, it got turned into a lower third.
Exactly. Stupid,
didn't it, Chris?
Who would do that to you?
I have no idea who would be that cruel and do that to me. But yeah, juice-wise, I managed to find in the back of my cupboard an antique Mirage Oasis liquid. They don't do this anymore, and it's a Virginia tobacco flavour that I've got about half a bottle left, and once I vaped that, it is gone forever. But this is one of the flavors that I started vaping mouth to lung with 7 years back. So I thought I'll stick it in mouth to lung and go for it.
Reminiscing.
I'm reminiscing. It's my birthday. I'm allowed.
Evening, Sean.
Good evening. How is everybody?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. It's hurting my eyes. Sorry, that is just awful. That drip tip is just, oh dear.
All the best. seeing you, Sean.
Sorry, Chris.
All the better for seeing you, mate.
Yeah. You too, mate. Glad to see you back. You need something more like that on the top. It's about half the size.
Oh, that's nice.
Sorry.
Oh, it could be worse. If you I have spoken to you about this one.
Yes, I need to send you some pictures. I will do.
Yeah, that was my cock up for my GR1, and yeah, completely messed that one up on an internet purchase. But I'm blaming Stuart Drummond for these. I mean, check that one out on the Enthia.
Oh, that's nice.
So
I like that.
That doesn't look too bad. Other than the color, it fits nicely on the top.
It matches up much better than any other drip tip matches any other mod you own.
Really? You think?
Absolutely.
Well, in that case, I'll leave that one on there then. Thank you. Oh, what were the others he got me? This Stuart Drummond. I've got his name right, haven't I? Sent me, because I mentioned last week that my coil was nearly gone and I needed a new one. He'd accidentally ordered some of these coils and he hasn't got a Nautilus Mini, so he just went, yeah, Chandler, have some coils. He sent me 10 coils, and as a bonus he threw in a handful of Gary Dibley drip tips.
Here we go.
Very nice.
There's a few here that might suit you. I think that's a Siam from Gary.
Oh, look at that. Hang on, let me get the other ones he got me.
If you guys want to have a pissing contest about drip tips.
Oh no, don't be doing that.
Is that big enough for you, Chandler?
Which one?
Oh,
that
look
one.
at that.
Oh.
Not focusing.
So these were the other two that he sent me.
Listen.
Very nice.
So they're really nice, but they look a bit.
Sean, can you sort this geezer out, please? Like, I will pay for whatever it costs. You make him a fucking each of those that looks normal.
We have been in talks, Chris. Don't worry, we have been in talks.
Fuck me.
I mean, look at that. That looks amazing.
That old water pipe I had, I used to tell my mum was a vase.
So you need something that glows in the dark.
Flowers in that.
I don't know if I can get it to glow in the dark or not. You can't really get it to glow in here because there's too much light.
Yeah,
You get the idea.
They seem quite glowy.
Yeah, they look fucking mad. Did you use a UV light for that picture, or was that just up? No,
it's a new material that I was given by a manufacturer a couple of weeks ago. I'm forgetting the name of the material now, but it's basically you sit it in sunlight for like 60 seconds, and it will glow for up to 12 hours or something.
Is it like Trillium?
No, it's almost nuclear, but not quite.
Oh,
but
nice.
safer, obviously, a lot safer.
A lot safer. Just don't put it in your mouth, right?
No, they use it for child toys, so it's quite safe.
That's fine. They looked fucking awesome, mate.
Mm.
Could you machine a billet box button out of that?
I'm actually gonna. Yeah, in theory, I suppose I could. Yes, I'm got some more coming next week, or hopefully this week. And the idea is that it's a powder that I can pour into a resin and make into all sorts of shapes.
Yeah, sign me out for a button and tip for my billet.
What are you vaping on, Sean?
Tonight, right? Okay, so I've gone really old school and have been for about the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm on the Mini Volt with Nautilus X on the top. And in that, I'm vaping AVB's the cola bottles, the cola chew thing.
Yep.
It's a new one. I think he's released it today or yesterday, I believe. And in my Rock Mods stab wood with the goon on the top and the glowy tip, I've got the fresh pressed from California e-liquids, whoever they are, California something liquids. California liquids. Yeah, so that's a really nice, fresh, sparkling starfruit flavour. Really nice. And beer. I'm just about at the end of my 4 pints of Bishop's Finger.
I need one of those, but I need an IBC.
Yeah, I couldn't quite get in the front door.
4 pints of Bishop's Finger, I'd be on the floor.
Yeah, 4 pints is fine.
You'll be all right, Chandler.
Right.
So, the reason we've got you on tonight, Sean, is obviously you're quite active in the community. You heard you were listening on the show.
Awesome guy. What an amazing guy.
Yeah. So, one of the things we were talking about is, and I know this is something that you mentioned to one of our other guests the other week, about people's perception of vaping.
Yeah.
And how do you think the community as a whole is seen?
The vaping community, from somebody outside of the community who knows absolutely nothing about it, and seeing it from their point of view, would depend on the person and how they sort of, obviously they perceive it. But a lot of times you see some people see it as just a bunch of bearded, snap-backed, cloud-blowing. And this is the kind of feedback that I get in my group, my Quit Thinking group. But quite often, sometimes you'll get new vapors coming in saying, like, I'm just about thinking about quitting. What's the best way to do it, etc., etc. And then they say, I don't really want to go into a vape shop, because you look in the door and you see all these guys standing at the counter, snapbacks, beards, all the clouds blowing, and they feel really intimidated. So, yeah, it's just that's kind of what a lot of people see it as. But it's only when you delve in deep and you actually start to talk to these people, build up the courage to go into the shop and talk to the guys at the counters, and often they're really helpful, then you start to sort of get a little bit more, feel a little bit more comfortable with, that kind of thing. So but it's just taking that initial step, I suppose, into the whole industry as a whole, to just understand, I think.
You see, when I started vaping, that the snapback bearded,
no, wasn't there, was it?
It didn't exist, and it was it was such a small, quiet community. I think there was a handful of Facebook groups, and I was told to join a group called Safer Vapors when I first started, and that was a wealth of information. I was, I remember watching YouTube channels on IPV boxes, and it was just like, what? This means nothing to me. Nothing was done in wattage back then. It was all voltage, wasn't it?
I think as someone who's starting to vape, it's the whole, do you just want to give up smoking, or do you want a new hobby? And that's kind of, and the ones that just want to give up smoking don't always do Facebook.
No.
And that's very difficult to actually target those people and say to them, look, this is the way to do it, this is what we should do this. And the trouble with the media is that you've got so much crap in the media about, which is anti-vaping, although just recently actually it's not been too bad, but there's been a lot of stuff in the last year or so which has been really anti-vaping and has put a lot of people off.
Yeah, back when I started vaping, we had that fucking what's his face? That geezer that made the vaping videos, Mark, where he used to like wrap hot towels around him.
Oh, what was his name?
We had him to scare us on vaping. Not
honestly, he used to. He I'm sure someone in the chat will tell us what his name was.
Something.
He'd come on, and he'd come on with the stack didn't even exist back then. It was a single 18650 tube mod. Everything was a clone, and he'd run 0.003 builds in it and chuck bare clouds, bro. And then I don't know if you knew this, Chris. He used to put his builds on eBay and sell them.
Yeah, he used to sell the whole RDA with the build in it.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy. I can't think of the guy's name.
Wasn't it
sure
Jay?
I think if Ollie's still watching, he'll be able to tell us.
Wasn't it Jay something? Jay.
No idea.
All I've got in my head is Mark Ski. I keep thinking his name is J Ski. It's not.
But no, that was the only moronic crap we had to deal with back then. You know, we were using 28 gauge Canthol to make microcoils and tiny little bit.
It was
all just plain and simple. There was no real, I say no politics. There was no real politics other than the Clone Authentic game. But people were just doing it to quit smoking. And then all of a sudden hobbyists got involved, and it turned from, because I literally stopped smoking, literally started vaping to stop smoking. That was all that's all it was. I had no intentions of joining Facebook groups. I had no intentions of it becoming a hobby. I had no intentions of it becoming my sole income. I had no intentions of it being anything other than to pack the bastard fags. That was all it was. But you kind of get sucked in. You kind of get drawn in, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, you need to have that sort of personality, though. But I've got naturally, I collect stuff. So when I bought my CE4 and I had the battery and I was using that and I thought I was the bollocks, when I found out there was bigger and better ones that did this X, Y, and Z, I progressed my way through them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wanted the bigger and better one. I wanted the bigger and better one. I wanted the bigger and better one. Bigger and better and one. But yeah. So I think it depends on your personality, doesn't it? Because I don't know, if you're happy, if you're a sort of person that,
I mean, Mark, you probably know more than anyone, but do you think that now the whole community is making a huge U-turn and going back to the mouth to lung thing again?
I think the quality of high nicotine juices has increased. I think that, you know, back when I started vaping, all you could get was Hang-Ten, iBreathe, e-shisha or whatever it's called, that comes in little weird like Buddha shaped bottles. Remember them? Do you remember them? They were like short, stubby bottles that had a funny shaped lid that went like that. That's all you could get that was from mouth to lung. And when I progressed into, you know, big dirty lung hits, they didn't have any decent 70-30 juice. It was all 50-50. You couldn't, but the highest you could get was 50-50. So I ended up making myself high VG juice in order to vape differently. And once I did that, I understood the difference between quality made e-liquid, which I was attempting to do myself with the best ingredients, and Hang-Ten. Do you know what I mean? So I noticed the difference, and I figured you're gonna have to carry on progressing. Otherwise, you know, there's only when high VG liquids that come out that actually taste good, and you can enjoy the same experience you got from a massive cloud that tastes of dirty, juicy berries. From a mouth to lung, people actually relate to that more closer to smoking than they do a big cloud. I think you forget it. It's like they say you never forget how to ride a bike. But I presume if you rode a bike when you were 5 and then didn't ride one again until you're 60, you know, there's going to be a bit of a rough patch in between.
I don't get what that's going to do in vaping.
Well, like, you start off at one point, which is mouth to lung in. You get back to that mouth to lung in, but done with quality. And in between that, you have all the cloud chasing to try and discover what it is that makes you satisfied.
Maybe.
Well,
I think there's definitely a curiosity with the cloud side of things. There's definitely a curiosity there where people want to see how big they can go. I never got into all that, to be fair. Personally, I've kind of always stuck with, well, to be fair, I've had this one now, this mod for probably the best part of, I don't know, 2 years or something. And I'm still using it to this day. My missus has just gone through every mod you can possibly think of and is now looking for another one. We'll get out and jam at the weekend. But
no.
I just don't, I'm not the sort of person that needs to be upgrading all the while. If I find something I like, I'll stick with it.
You know what they say though, eh? Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, well, that's very true. But when the old dog is teaching everybody else new tricks every day with their job, then that's a different story.
Yeah, that's true.
was going to say, I mean, that's my X Cube Mini. I mean, that's the first 18650 box mod that I bought, and still using it.
I've still got a Sigelli 100 here.
I
Oh,
was going to
mate.
say, to be fair, that probably does actually prove the can't teach an old dog new tricks thing, though.
Get this out.
That's my first ever mod, the Pegasus.
Oh,
I thought
look at that!
I thought it was the bollocks of a Breaking Bad box. Nice, eh? Wrapped that myself. And everything I know about making drip tips, I learned from Sean, so I can't call him all. They're bad.
Well, the number of hours we spent on video chats.
Huh?
The number of hours we spent on video chats watching how to do this and how to do that. And
Yeah. Top man. But I think that kind of why I was so behind you doing that group for people that were, just starting out vaping. I thought, actually, who better to give advice? So it was quite refreshing.
By the way, I've got a picture of me with my very first mod.
How old are you, Chandler, today? 62?
Me, I'm
63?
Yeah, no, not quite.
God, how old are you?
I'm 44.
Are you?
Yeah.
Or did you
far
knock,
behind me then.
or did you knock a few years off because you're embarrassed?
No, actually, I am 44.
Someone had a hard paper round.
Yeah, very hard.
You could be my dad.
There you go. What do you think?
Oh, hang on, let me.
That was a good picture.
Yeah, that's obviously me with my very first mod.
That looks like my very first Photoshop job.
it's a wonky Photoshop job, to be fair, but there we go.
It's actually not that bad. If you realise that his forearm's actually over the side of the mod and not that you've badly cut out around it.
Take the
Yeah,
headshot
I've badly
away,
cut
no.
out around it, to be fair.
But it looks like his whole arm's over the top of the mod.
Yeah, it does.
That was a fluke.
But hey ho,
You
I
see,
did it
I've-
quick on my phone. What can you say?
Look at the average age of our viewership. Now we've taken Chandler on. We've got a 54. Andrew Wilson's 54. Schwartzy's 47. Marsky's
Oh,
35. You know.
You see, the earliest vaping picture I've got, and this is obviously
Are we doing this? Let me find mine. It's proper embarrassing.
mine is. Can you see that? That was in hospital whilst my daughter was being born. hiding behind an iPad with that looks like a rose, I think.
Awesome.
But that's the first photo I've got. But obviously there was a couple of years before that.
I'm gonna go.
I've just seen Mark's comment in the chat. You know, how old is Chris JB? 42.
No, that's my waist in inches.
That's your waist.
That's his weight, isn't it?
42 pounds.
You know what? I'm actually feeling quite young. You've changed our demographic. I'll just call you Ian then, Chandler.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How old do you think I am? Anyone who doesn't know, if you know, don't answer it.
Oh yeah, I know. So
How old do we think Chris is?
yeah, go on. Let's pop this into the chat and really. This is a little bit like asking a girl their age. You suddenly start thinking, I'll just guess a little bit younger.
Yeah, the difference is you're not worried about upsetting Chris.
Yeah, no, I'm plenty far enough away so that if he can't hit me.
They're all spread out, Chris. I'm not sure whether they're specifying weight or age. It's
Yeah, Yeah, we're talking years, not stone.
You fuck off. You sat behind Jesus in year 3. Dana's first job after school was waiting tables at the Last Supper.
God.
I am 27.
Are you really?
Arsehole. Yeah, fucking arseholes. 40. 41. 31-ish. 38.
31-ish.
The only person who's even close was fucking Maffey, and I suppose someone else said 28. Schwartzy.
Mikey said 27.
Oh, all spread out, just like, never mind.
Awesome.
It's like one of them raffle competitions where you have to guess the number, isn't it?
Yeah. Do they win a mod? No, they've got it. Juice? What?
Yeah, what do you win, Chris?
Yeah.
You get to punch Mark in the balls next time we see him.
Sounds fair. Hang on, who got it right?
Yeah, that depends whether or not they can reach.
Mikey Vapes. Who else wanted to choose, mates?
Yeah, no, I don't want one, but thank you.
It's hard to tell because if I know people called Mikey, they all vape.
I only said 28 because Chris said Chandler was old enough to be his dad. I did wonder that.
Yeah.
How old's your oldest, Chandler?
My oldest is 13.
How old's your youngest?
7.
How did you get it over that recently with your hips?
What?
How'd you get your leg over that recently?
How old? How old's Dolan? Shall we do the same one with me? But I'll have to ask Lindsay because I've got no idea.
That's called Stockholm syndrome, mate.
Forgetting how old you are.
When you stay with a captured you for so long that you feel sorry for it.
The worrying thing is that whenever anybody asked me how old I was, I had to think today. So for the past 2 years, I've been telling. So I seem to have missed out 43 completely.
For the past 2 years, the Cham has not paid his internet bill.
Yeah. Oh. How old's your oldest, Mark?
3.
3. Okay. Right. Narrows it down a bit.
But I'm actually going to go mental in a minute.
Why?
Twice I've scrolled through like fucking 4 years of Instagram to find the first picture. And I've got the Magic Mouse set up differently because it's my Magic Mouse 2's on charge. And I kept swiping 2 fingers and it kept taking me back. Twice I've gone through like 4 fucking years.
You see, I obviously look my age. How old am I? 38. 38.
Oh, bless you.
Right, so everyone knows the date of the year, so I better search it and claim his ID. Well done. 38. Actually, the first person to get it right was Keith, who actually manages my shop. So I should hope he does know that. We had the conversation the other day, didn't we?
You don't know how to spell your name, though.
Do you hope he knows your birthday so you get a card as well?
Yeah.
Nah, not me. I don't do my birthday. Never have. DJ. DJ was
that's it. What did I say it was?
Anyway, we've gone right off on an age-related tangent.
Age-related tangent.
Sean, do you think that we've changed? Do you think the opinions have changed towards vaping?
I think definitely from an outside point of view, yes. The general public has only recently, though. I mean, because of all the media coverage that we've had over the last, 6 months or so, it all kind of sparked off when the PHE decided that they'd post this 95% safer than smoking thing. And from then, it's kind of started to snowball a little bit towards vaping and away from smoking, to the point where even some of the big companies are now thinking to themselves, actually, it's time to start stepping over to vaping. So, I mean, if big companies like those guys are thinking about it, then yeah, I think the whole perception is definitely changing towards vaping. With those,
is that a positive? Is that a positive perception, or on the whole?
I think from personally, what I've seen, certainly people that I speak to on a day-to-day basis in the group and in just out when I'm out and about, and people who PM me and message me, certainly those guys who are not necessarily knowledgeable with millions of vape groups like we are, their perception is definitely a positive one. Especially when they're asking, they can come into groups. I mean, a lot of people, what they find is they'll go into a vape group because their mate's in a vape group and they've said, try vaping instead of smoking. They go into that vape group and their first question are a newbie question. I don't know, something simple like, what tank shall I get? Or what is an e-juice? And they get ripped to shreds for it. They come into my group and they get advice, and they get proper, I'll send them a link to something that's a government link or a recognised link to give them the advice. So they can then perceive that as something where they can say, actually, this is genuine advice. This isn't just somebody saying Chinese whispers to like 15 people down the line. This is actual advice from a recognised source. So I think because there's a lot more of that out there, people are willing to look at stuff online and find out for themselves now. So they can perceive it as a good thing rather than just hear either through the media or through Jeff down the pub who's saying, no, don't bother with that crap. It's just as bad as smoking. So they can actually find out for themselves. There's a lot more information out there basically to give them the positive information they need.
Is there anything that we can do as a community to try and improve how we're perceived as a community?
As a community, I think certainly we need to be more friendly towards new vapors and people that smoke that don't. I think you have to have this whole open mind thing about if somebody's a smoker, you don't rip the shit out of them just because they're a smoker. It's the whole advise them, give them the information, let them make their own decision. Don't try and be all bullshit and overpowering and say, no, you shouldn't be smoking, you should be vaping, or you shouldn't be doing it, or whatever. You know, you have to be open-minded and quite neutral about things when you're talking to people. I mean, we go down to the pub and we sit in the beer gardens in the pubs, and I'm sitting with 2 or 3 people, a couple of them are vapors, we're vapors, and 2 or 3 of them are smokers. That's just how, that's just our friends. That's what they are.
Do you rib them?
Sorry?
Do you rib them for being smokers?
No, not at all. No, I just say to them that, 9 times out of 10, the conversation will get round to smoking, vaping, and all that sort of thing, just because they ask what I do, and it kind of builds from there. And they're saying things like, well, I tried it, and I tried one of those little tiny pen things, and it just didn't work for me, so I gave up and went back to the smoking. I was like, well, there's a lot better equipment out there now. You just need to have that information in the first place to be able to make your own educated decision and take it from there. Don't just try one bit of kit and say it's crap and throw it away and start smoking again. Try something a bit better. But if they say to me, no, I'm not into that whole vaping thing, it's just not for me, you then say, why? You don't say, oh, you should. You don't force your opinions on somebody else. And I think because some people will do that, that's where the problem comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And instantly you get your back up and you build your defenses and you say, no, fuck that, I'm not going to be doing that anymore.
Yeah, check this bad boy out. This is my first Instagram picture of a vape.
Hang on. Let me share your screen. There we go, Chris.
Check that bad boy out.
The hell?
What is it?
The Bob Marley C4.
Oh, wow, look at that. Awesome.
Is that free liquid or dry herb?
That's very liquid.
Oh, okay.
That's what I gave up smoke. Well, I got a silver one that broke, and then I bought that one to replace it. And I just thought I was so cool.
Was it variable voltage? Was it a twist?
Oh, no. That was just 4 clicks turn on. That was over 4 years ago. I've got this one, look. All my little C4s and their drip tips all washed, ready to be used again.
Do you know what, Chris? I've just thrown about 50 of those in a bin.
Oh, I used to love them.
What I love about that, Chris, is you got 5 whole likes on it.
I know.
5 likes.
Hey, how about this one then? This one.
Hundreds now for being retro.
Well, I've got a picture from June 2012, and this is me with my first stacked tube mod. Go on, focus. There you go. What do you think?
You look like a lesbian teacher.
Yeah.
The day this mod was released, or this RDA tank, whatever you want to call it, was released, I got it a day early through a friend, and I built that.
Hang on.
Oh, look at that.
I can't keep up with all these screen sharings.
So you had the moonshot,
Moonshot.
the original moonshot, 22, it's back to front, but you get the idea. And I built it into a hideous mod.
Oh, look at that. That's
But it
awesome.
worked. But it worked.
That dual parallel.
How many golden Virginia tins?
Yeah, dual parallel, yeah.
Fantastic.
How many golden Virginia tins do you think there are out there?
Oh, God, no. Speak to Gary. He'd know. He used to build them.
Here's me using my Nemesis clone at 0.28 ohms. Ooh, clouds for days, bro. Check that. That was 0.28. I thought I thought
0.28. I mean, geez, that's low. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't explode in your hand.
That's on a Nemesis clone, so a mech mod in a Fogger V4.
Fogger V4. I've still got one of those somewhere.
Oh yeah. Hammer mods. Something on top of that. Look at that bad boy. Remember them?
Look at the clouds on that.
Hammer 30s, mate. That was 4 years ago. It's in my old house. Look at that.
Some right clouds there.
That was 0.42 single coil at 8 watts. 60-40 custom. 60-40 custom mix, 12 milligram, yet smooth. So my description says, check that. Custom mix, 12 milligram, yet smooth.
Hey Chandler, do you know that big giant mod that you had? I had exactly the same one.
Oh man, look. I was told that was a custom one-off.
You look like Chandler's lesbian girlfriend.
I got 12 grand for that.
You get to keep it.
No, I sold it.
Did you get to keep it?
Yeah.
Why?
You got to. You could buy it, couldn't you? When you if you got to walk with it, you got the option to buy it.
Yeah. How much?
I can't remember how much it was now.
Is it not one torch that they pass from person to person?
Yeah. No.
What? So it's like 100.
No. Everybody had their own torch, and the flame passed from person to person. So you use the flame to light the next torch.
Yeah, have you still got yours?
Oh, that wasn't mine, to be fair. So it was somebody else's. So I didn't get to walk with it.
You didn't get to eBay yours.
Yeah, I was just posing with somebody else's.
How many did you get?
One.
And how much did you sell it for?
About 12 grand.
Seriously?
Did you get the choice to buy more? Just what the one you carry?
The one that was early day flipping. That.
God, look at me. That was early day flipping.
To buy it?
Huh?
How much was it to buy it?
I think they're about 200 quid, 150, 200 quid, something like that. They weren't expensive. Well, they were then.
Well, that looks like you're 14. That size here.
And they've got a gas canister in it, haven't they? It was a gas canister that lit the flame.
Yeah.
So,
Fuck that. I thought it was
basically
just
it was a huge fuck off lighter.
It's like it's supposed to be the passing of the torch, not the passing of the flame.
No, you pass the flame
Past the flame.
and then run off with the torch.
We had
The
some
flame.
geek through our town. I don't even know who he was. They made him out to be like a celebrity. I didn't have a clue who he was. Moron. 12 grand.
12 grand. I don't believe that. I'm like, what?
Anyway,
I
so
mean-
what were we doing at the weekend then?
What are we
Ooh.
doing? I'm
Yeah.
doing fuck all, mate.
I'm
I
having a jam
stayed-
sandwich.
The missus is going out, so I'm staying in.
Oh, you babysitting, mate?
Yeah,
We're
man.
jamming.
Yeah,
What are you?
I'm jamming. Are you jamming, Mark?
I don't know still.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well,
I can't do the Saturday. So if I go, it'll be the Sunday.
he says this every fucking time, and he's there on Thursday.
I
At
can't.
least you get a whole day on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I can't. I've got prior work engagements.
You say that every time, though. Every time you're like, "Oh, I can't come to the meal. I'm not going to be there till 9." And you'll turn up at 5.
Oh,
Look,
Twice you've done that. "Oh, I can't come on the Saturday. I'm going to have to miss the meal. I'll be there Sunday morning." And then both times you've turned up at like 5 o'clock on a Saturday. "Oh, I got out of it." Every time. It's like a scare tactic. You're like, "Mark, you better fucking be there." And he's like, "Oh, no, it's good. I'm not going to make it till 2012. It's like, what?
where did 2012 come from?
I meant to say 2022.
It came out of 2012.
2012 would have been better. Yeah.
Awesome.
A fucking nightmare.
Are you excited, Sean?
Yes, I'm going more for a social event than to see what's actually on. I mean, juices don't interest me at all. I'm not one of these people that goes around trying all the different juices and ends up with vapor's tongue at the end of the day. I'm going down to see all the possible new mods. I'm going to go down and see that if Voopoo are next to Vandy Vape on their stalls. Because they're both later this year.
You're not vending, Sean.
I'm going to do UK Vape Fest this year. I'm not going to be doing either of the expos. They're too expensive, Chris. They're stupid money to get a stall.
They are. I've done it twice, but
Hang on, Chris. How many of you had to pay for?
one. I paid for one. I paid a fucking hell of a lot of money for one.
You paid for a third of one.
No. The first Vape Jam, is it Vape Jam we did or Expo? We paid for the whole pitch, and then we let someone else be on our stand and didn't charge them. It was the pitch next to us that Deathwish had that you were on. That was 2 pitches, dickhead. How many have you had to pay for? That's more the point.
I could show you invoices that would make you cry, mate.
You did a big one with Scoundrel, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
Forgot about that. Shit, yeah. Big one.
You know, that one that you parked your mobility scooter at the front of.
Well, that'll make up for the time before that when we got hammered and we drank a litre of whiskey and a litre of vodka between us. And then you left my hotel room at like 6 in the morning. I was up bright and early to do the show, and you strolled in at what time?
That's the beauty of having staff.
Fuck off. You strolled in at
Not beauty, it's luxury.
you strolled in at like 4:45 in the afternoon. And I was there up from like 10 o'clock after going to bed at 6, and you just slept all day.
I'm pretty sure. I don't think we've ended that one.
No, but you were still fucking left me hanging around like a knob waiting for you.
Look, Saturday morning, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm driving from here to Wisbech. picking up Jimmy, and then Jimmy's driving from Wisbech to London. So I'm going to be up at 5 to get there for God knows what time we'll get there.
Have you got a B2B pass?
Hey?
Have you got a B2B pass?
We've got press passes waiting for us.
Okay.
How the fuck are you going to make it through out of Wisbech alive? They're going to take your wheels off your car. They're going to be stripping your motor out quicker than you can say Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, I used to live there. Used to get through a car a week, mate.
You'll have to buy back your car parts off one of them before you leave.
Yeah, chances are you'd buy spare wheels off eBay, and they were the ones that came off your fucking car in the first place.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to?
Wisbech is dangerous. Jimmy, you'd be careful of Jimmy as well.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm a bit concerned that he's going to take us down in van.
Ooh. What, yeah, because your car will be left there waiting outside his house to be robbed.
Yeah, I know.
What are you looking forward to, Chandler?
What am I looking for? I'm looking forward to seeing if we can get seeing Ruby and Grim Green. That's the whole reason I'm going, really.
Have you never met Grim before?
I've never met Grim, never met Ruby. Obviously, the only UK events they've been to is Jam. So, and this will be my first Jam. So, if I want to get to see Grim and Ruby, I've got to go to Jam.
You've not tried approaching them online?
No, I haven't.
That would save you a fucking trip to London, mate.
It might.
They're actually really nice people. They're really approachable. I met Grim Green a couple of times. I've never met Ruby, but I've spoken to her once.
Okay, yeah, it'd be good. I'm hoping we're gonna get the opportunity to get the podcast microphone between us.
Get a sweat, eh?
try and get them on the podcast. But
what's on your shopping list, Chandler?
What's on my shopping list?
You really want to all that new Nichrome stuff?
Yeah. To be fair, I've not got a lot of spending money because I need to pay someone for a computer first.
Hey, guess what? Good news.
What?
I found a box it'll fit in.
You found a box? Yes!
Found a box. It's in my kitchen at the minute. I'm gonna tomorrow when I get in from work, I'm gonna unplug it all, put it all in a box, package it up, and then I'm gonna send it.
Oh, you little angel! And I'll send you some.
Taking me fucking ages to find a box it'll fit in.
What Chris should have said was, mate, take that money to Jam. Enjoy yourself, buy yourself something nice, and we'll sort the computer out when you get back. There's no rush.
What money are you on about?
I still owe you some for it, mate.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't paid for it all yet. Well, actually, no, I have. Yeah, I paid for it all. It's all sorted, done and dusted.
Yeah, no. Hey, no, I'm not in a rush for it, mate. I'm serious. I'm genuinely not in a rush for it.
Are you genuinely serious?
Oh, yeah, seriously.
Chandler, you've now got spending money. What's on your shopping list?
Yes. I'll be honest with you. I forgot that you even owed me it.
Really?
Genuinely.
You're my big mouth. Fucking hell.
I think last time we spoke about it, I thought I only charged you 3/4 of what I charged you. I was like,
really?
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, that's not what I said. I'm like, the parts are worth double that, and I was like, oh, I calculated it wrong. But the worst thing is, I told my missus that I'd sold it. She asked how much for. Then I went in my account and saw you'd put some money in. I says to her, oh, he's paid X. You know, he's only got this left to pay. And she's like, I thought you told me you sold it for this. He did. I calculated it wrong.
So it's now been purloined for other purposes, has it?
Yeah.
So what's on your list now, Chandler? What?
Well, right. Well, I was looking for it. I would like to get a
C4. You've not tried one of them yet. You're still on sticker lights.
yeah, C4. That'd be awesome. No. I want a squonking RDTA. So again, probably something that everybody else has had, decided it was shite, and has moved on.
Nixon 1.5.
That's what Jimmy got a Nixon, and I kind of assumed that it was going to be a really expensive kind of 40-50 quid job. And I've looked online, and actually it's not. It's about 20 quid.
Yeah, they're not expensive.
They're not, are they?
They're not bad.
I was looking at a Pindad.
What?
And I now can't remember who made the Pindad.
If it looks shit, Chandler, I'm telling you, I want that computer money this week.
Oh,
From
right, hang on.
I've had with the Pindad, they're not great, mate.
Oh,
are they not?
Let me have a look.
All right, that's exactly what I'm doing, so I can screen share it. Oh, there you go. That's awesome. I've just done let me screen share this. There you go. I've screen shared.
You haven't?
Why not? Entire screen. Share the entire screen. Why not? There you go. Pindad. There you go. That is obviously what I was looking for. Oh, there it is. Look at that. There we go. That's the Pindad.
That looks like a cross between Stu's
Looks like a moonshot.
It looks like Stu's RDA, a moonshot, and a Nixon 1.5 had a baby.
Yeah, and it's
fucking shocking, mate.
My internet is shite, isn't it? Oh yeah, there you go. Apparently, my PC suffers from clutter and slowdown. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, I looked at that. It's a dual coil, but you can also it's got something where you can block off one side and single coil it. And I was kind of looking for a single coil one, so I thought, I fancy giving that a go.
I don't see the point in a squonking RDTA. Surely the whole point.
See, there's no point in actually being RDTAs, considering that their capacity is so small. I don't think 1.5 even holds a milliliter. I think that
was kind of my point. I kind of use my Serpent all the time. That's 4.5 mil, I believe, 4.5, 5 mil. I bought that thing that is a big pile of pants, but mainly again because it holds 2 mil. You take two puffs on it and you've got to refill it again. Yeah. So I actually thought if you've got an RDTA that you can actually stick it on one of here. I've got 15 mil that I can sit in there. I'm sorted for the day.
See, I've got a very early moonshot. What are they called? Signature Tips made them. They were like extension tanks.
Oh god, they're rubbish.
I really enjoyed mine.
Do you have any trouble with yours wicking?
With mine, what?
When they first made them, the juice couldn't get down the sides. Do you have any trouble with that?
Yeah, I did with the first one, but the glass was slightly too short. So it done up before the glass actually was squashed in. So I told them about it, and they actually sent me 4 new ones. They sent me 2 of the existing ones and 2 of these new versions that they'd made. And the new version they'd made was slightly different. The metal to like glassy, plasticky, whatever it was, ratio was different, and the length of the screw threads were slightly different, and it worked brilliantly. Absolutely amazing. Moonshot was actually the first tank I fell in love with. I had hundreds of tanks before it, but that was the first tank that wasn't a pre-made coil that I fell in love with.
Didn't you have to refill that by poking your juice down the wick holes?
To be honest, I can't even remember. I know it was like a really, really quite an open space. You put a decent sized coil in it,
Yeah, I've been looking for it. I don't think it's there though. It might be downstairs. I think it's downstairs. I've got about 50 tips downstairs that I use for fitting. But that's something I was thinking is you can't these days. Everything's TPD, and I'm really surprised that people haven't stopped buying like modern tanks, etc., and gone back to all the old stuff, which was like 6mm and stuff.
Yeah.
Or someone hasn't, brought out something that's TPD compliant, yet new, and then there's an etc. bits that you can buy aftermarket that brings it back to its original 6mm tank, 5mm tank, or whatever they were.
Moonshot was originally 2mm though, wasn't it? I think it was the first tank to ever have a really small capacity, but still be fucking good. Yeah, I was just going to say that Bastard Vaping seems to. He was asking about if we're on every week. Yes, we are. 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time if you're in America.
I've just coloured the name.
Yeah, Bastard Vaping.
Brilliant. Sean, what have you got on your list for Expo? You said you're not a big fan of juices. Any hardware?
Well, the missus is looking for something new. Trying to find something new is difficult at these expos and stuff because no one really seems to save expos or fests or whatever for new stuff. They just try and punch off all their existing stuff ready for when they're bringing out new stuff. But yeah, we're gonna go and have a look. And she likes to feel things and like to see what it feels like in the hand, rather than she likes the big square boxes and things like that. She really liked the Voopoo, and then all the shit kicked off about it, and she was like, "Well, I don't know, but we'll see. I'll have a feel of one when I get down there and try it." So she's looking at the Voopoo, and if anything else takes her fancy, I think there's a modders gallery there this year or a modders area.
Yeah, they're calling it the modders block.
Wow.
Yeah. Talking of something new, I've got a prototype being made this week.
Ooh, prototype of what?
Tube mod.
Tube mod. Awesome.
Unlike anything on the market. Like,
hang on, a tube mod. Is it not like a tube? Is it square?
It is, but the innovation in it is the fact that it's threadless. Apart from actually where you screw the RDA in, that thread.
Yeah.
Apart from that, there's no other threads on it.
Didn't the Emmy do that?
Huh?
Didn't they do that with the Emmy?
Yeah, in a different way. In a different way. Actually, I really like the Emmy.
So do I.
Yeah, Paul let me have a go at one at Dale's birthday. It's fucking awesome, but I won't use it. I don't think I'd use my tubes. Do you know what I mean? So I'd obviously test them out.
I've got a new tube mod design sitting on my computer downstairs at the moment, but I'm yet to actually find a way of building it.
What do you mean? Like, is it machinable?
It's machinable, but it's just having the time to find out and source someone who can machine it for me, because I can't do the metal that I need to do it in. So,
did you want it made in the
UK? Possibly, yeah.
So if you need it done in China, I can hook you up.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go with all the China. No, I don't want to be doing the China thing. I'd rather keep things UK based and local if possible as well.
Fair play.
Mm.
But yeah, I got sent a picture of them cutting out the engraving. Well, it was a video, short video. I'm not going to show it. Actually, I might show it.
Actually,
it doesn't. You can't see much, Chris.
Yeah. So I was just thinking.
This is my first ever. If I can find the picture, I think if it's here somewhere. My first ever attempt at making a tube mod.
Cool. Look at that.
I remember that at the time. You're giving Craig a run for his money there.
Yeah, that was my first ever attempt.
That reminds me a little bit totem Polish. It's in a good way.
It's steampunk. The idea was it was steampunk, and the button lit up when you pressed it and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hang on, Chris. Wait. Go on then.
Oh, is this a preview? Huh?
Right, let me play it one more time.
There you go. You can see absolutely nothing.
Nothing. There you
Just
go.
my screen.
Can in the
No.
first second or so, but by the time it goes full screen, it's gone.
Ugh.
But yeah,
Can I
it's
just ask a question, guys?
Yeah, go.
Since I'm here, a couple of weeks ago when you had the lady from Kazara on, I asked a question. I didn't really get an answer that I thought was what I was asking, but basically I was asking about targeting smokers that are outside of vaping completely. And do you think that the government, with their TPD regulations that they've brought in about not promoting or not advertising vaping in any way, shape or form, have inadvertently or on purpose basically stopped people from advertising the way that the vaping is I don't think the words, what's the best word, to be able to advocate vaping in a good way?
Sean, we can still advertise. We can advertise on bus shelters. We can advertise on buses. We can advertise on billboards. We can still advertise. It's just where we can advertise isn't as grand as we'd like it to be. You know, I'd love to be able to pay for Google AdWords. I'd love to be able to advertise on TV, radio, everything else, but unfortunately we can't. But as far as print, bus shelters, buses,
Vaping magazines, isn't it?
yeah, but we can still advertise on boards. We can still advertise on billboards.
The vaping magazines are for industry only, aren't they?
Essentially, they priced you out of all of the cheap and effective marketing strategies.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say that image that I found of the holding the torch. That year, you know, I'm into my motorbikes. I like going to watch the British Superbikes. So I went to the British Superbikes, and E-Lights was sponsoring one of the riders. Who else? There was another vape company that was sponsoring a bike that I now can't remember off the top of my head. But you'd got vape companies that was sponsoring riders. A little bit like the tobacco. You used to get like the Lucky Strike bikes, and before that was.
But have you seen the wonderful advertising that our friends at PMI have done?
Yes.
No, what have they done now?
Oh, they're advertising Formula One cars and motorbikes and stuff like that because it's not a tobacco product.
But this is the point I'm trying to make: is the fact that the big tobacco can afford to advertise in these places,
yeah,
absolutely.
Whereas the normal everyday people that are just normal vapors, smaller companies, just haven't got the money to throw millions of pounds at massive vaping. You know,
that's what I meant by about the market, because all the cheap and effective marketing solutions for business are all banned, and all of the very expensive. They call it high traffic advertising, but realistically, there's nothing more powerful than the internet. I see more on the internet than I do buses. I see buses, once every, couple of hours.
Yeah, but I think the main thing with the internet vaping advertising is we're going looking for it.
Exactly.
If you're not looking for it, you're not going to find any pictures of the latest Gaia atomizer or whatever it might be.
You must be familiar with pop-ups, Chandler, running fucking Windows XP.
Oh yeah.
The amount of pop-ups I see in a day, the amount of adverts that pop up on my phone, online, on websites, on Facebook, the amount of pop-ups I see a day eclipses how many buses I see in a week. Tenfold.
But you guys are talking about products. I'm talking about vaping in general and the health benefits and all the rest of it.
I want about advertising, vaping advertising. I'm 10 times, 20 times more likely to see an advert online than I am on a bus. And they'll let you put an advert on a bus, but they won't let you put an advert. You won't be able to pay for Google AdWords.
Yeah, I know what you. I think I know what you're trying to say, Sean. You're not talking about. You're not talking about the an advert for the latest e-liquid. You're talking about an advert saying
any positive about vaping. The people like us, the advocates, the people that are interested in supporting vaping, will be the ones that are giving as much time as they can to do it. But none of us have enough money in the businesses we do to pay for £1 million marketing budgets like Philip Morris can.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You see, these guys are advertising their products, but they're advertising their products. They're not just putting. They're not going to spend £1 million on saying vaping is good for you, vaping is this, vaping is that. They're going to put their products into that advert, so they're actually promoting their product as well.
I was told in a Totally Wicked shop that their e-liquid was the only e-liquid I should use because other e-liquids were all made in dirty sheds in people's gardens. That's what I was genuinely told by a genuine Totally Wicked franchise store. And the fact that they don't care about anyone else. They're not interested. They will tell people that their products are safe and their products are tested, and they will tell people that all other products on the market are. And it's essentially.
The trouble is, Chris, unfortunately, with this short fills market as it is now, probably 30%, 20% of e-liquids that are on the market aren't tested.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd say less than that, Sean.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Short fills.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem. But at the same time, it doesn't make them unsafe, or it doesn't necessarily.
Well, it kind of does because you don't know what's in them.
Well, so you're telling me that it's okay for a Totally Wicked member of staff to say that theirs is the only e-liquid that's safe to use?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the e-liquids that are on the market, the stuff that's built in Bill's bathtub down the road, is safe to vape. And he's got no certificate to say that he's made that, how he's made it.
No, I didn't mean necessarily the random bloke down the road who's making juice, who's actually making juice in his shed. I'm on about every other juice apart from Totally Wicked. I'm saying that they are safe to vape, 90%.
But can you show me certification to say that e-liquid or that is? There are quite a few out there now, I must admit, that are getting their certification together, and they are saying that these short fills are safe because we've done this test and we've done that test. But they're the ones that are the bigger guys that had the money to put into it to have it tested. Sure. There's a lot of stuff out there that aren't.
All of my short fills are tested. I've got tox tested certificates, tox test certificates to say that they are safe. We treat our short fills as TPD compliant e-liquids,
which is absolutely fine. That's brilliant. But there are a lot of people out there that don't.
No, there's not. Yeah, I totally agree.
I don't disagree with that at all. But what I mean to say is that actually there are a lot of other liquids other than Totally Wicked that are legit and that are tested.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I was disagreeing with. Not the fact that actually there are a lot of e-liquids that aren't tested. Completely agree with that. And I completely agree that there's probably a pube in 1 or 2 bottles.
Don't.
There was a story a few weeks ago, I think. I don't know who it was or where I heard it now, but there was a story where a certain shop had a supplier have his e-liquids brought in, and the shop decided off his own back to have them tested. And he found a lot of very nasty things in that juice and wouldn't sell it from the tests.
But the problem is what are you considering to be unsafe? I'm not being argumentative here.
Uncertificated, untested.
Untested.
Because you have no idea what's in it.
Well, what about, for example, I'm thinking of just only a couple of years back, a shop that I used to go into locally. That's all I'll say. They basically, you went in, they'd got the juices that you could, the flavors you could try. You'd buy it. They'd produce a bottle with the concentrate in. They'd add the VG. They'd say, what do you want? 70-30, 50-50. And they'd add the nick and the PG and VG effectively in front of you.
Grey Hayes used to do that.
Yeah, Grey used to do that with their white, yellow zombie and all that. Yeah, there was a couple of shops. The shop I actually properly gave up smoking from, he used to do that.
Yeah,
Actually-
and I'm not knocking it, because at that point, at that time, that was how you got your liquid, and you got VG, PG. They were in bottles. They were in bottles effectively under the counter, and they literally just poured it into measuring cylinders and funnel in the bottle and filled it up for you.
Chandler, you make your own.
Yeah,
How do you know it's safe?
I buy my PG and my VG from a reputable company, or Boots. Well, like I said, with the Boots VG, I mean it's pharmaceutically tested, that VG, and it says what it is on the bottle, so I've got no problem with the Boots VG.
How do you know it's safe? How do you know it's safe?
I make sure that I've got clean bottles and put it in, and I kind of know. How do I know what the stuff that I bought is safe, or the stuff that I've mixed is safe?
Yeah, both.
I effectively have no clue. I am trusting the vendor that what is in the bottle is what I've bought. But to be fair, I'm doing exactly the same thing when I'm buying a bottle of Coca-Cola.
But surely you can go to Boots and you can say to them, "Can I have traceability on your PG or your VG?" They've got traceability on that. They must have. They have to by law to sell it.
Yeah, presumably. Yeah.
Oh, do you remember that?
What's that, Chris? Hang on. Serum, yeah, I remember that.
That stuff, I made that.
Chris, can you send me that?
Yeah?
Yeah, send me that as a PM at some point. I know someone who'd be interested in that.
Yeah, no worries.
They've just started doing something very similar, thinking it's new.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was just a homebrew line that I did myself, really. And yeah,
I just flash bottle.
Huh?
And put it in a flash bottle.
Well, it's just a normal bottle with a label on it. I've printed out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, from that picture, it looks very professional.
Well, it's just a clip art that I found online and put a name under it.
Hmm.
Well, that was when I first started vaping.
Right. We have massively flown over this evening.
Oops.
Sorry.
I'm glad we're having fun.
No, it's been an interesting show. Obviously, it's interesting to talk to people that may have a different opinion. Obviously, people from different countries is always good. I'm struggling to think of the guy's name. What was his name?
Rick.
Rick. There we go.
Yeah, Golteri.
Massive thanks to Rick for joining us this evening. We'll put a link to his, Chris will put a link to his Facebook groups and also a link to his Amazon.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
For his books. Massive thanks to Sean for joining us. Is it your first time live with us?
With you guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And happy birthday, Chandler.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to go eat birthday cake now.
Your birthday cake and have a Chandler and having a Chandler bong.
Yeah, a Chandler bong.
Fantastic. All of you guys that are going to, I keep going to call it Vape Fest. All those going to Jam at the weekend, have a fantastic weekend. If you see any one of us, please feel free to stop us. Please feel free to stop us, say hi. Chandler specifically likes being stopped to have his photograph taken, so please feel free to stop Chandler.
Occasional reach round.
Or reach around.
He likes a cheeky finger.
War, cheeky finger.
Cheeky finger.
And on that note,
and I tell you what, just before you go, I have got left one. I've got one left, just the one. Vape Talk rag. So for the first person to come up to me and shout incredibly loudly, "I've got
Give me a
testicular
reach around."
enteritis."
You've got to shout.
Yeah,
give me a reach
that'll do.
around.
Give me a reach around. There you go. Right, that's fine. You can have that, but like I say, I've only got one. So
You
there you go.
realise it's going to be happening all day. People thinking they're the first.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put that in my pocket.
Fantastic, guys. Have a great week. We will see you next Tuesday. See you next Tuesday,
Thank you,
guys.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.